Inshallah, we will start today's majlis with a recitation of the Holy Quran by Sayyid Hussain Jaffry, followed by Sayyid Muhammad Jaffry. Sallu ala Muhammad wa alim.
الرحيم هو الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الملك القدوس السلام السلام المؤمن المهيمن العزيز الجبار المتكبر سبحان الله سبحان الله عما يشركون هو الله الخالق البارئ المصور له الأسماء الحسنى يسبح له ما في السماوات والأرض وهو العزيز الحكيم صدق الله العلي العظيم اللهم صل وسلم وزد وبارك على رسول الله وآله الأطهار على رسول الله وآله الأطهار صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of Allah, the Merciful, the Beneficent. Believers, have fear of God. A soul must see what it has done for the future. Have fear of God, for He is all aware of what you do. Do not be like those who forget about God. He will make them forget themselves. These are the sinful people. The people of paradise and hell are not alike. The people of paradise are the successful ones. Had we sent down this Quran on a mountain, you would have seen it humbled and rent asunder for fear of God. These are parables which we tell to people so that perhaps they will think. He is God, the only Lord, who knows the unseen and the seen. He is the Beneficent and all-merciful one. He is the Creator, the Designer, the Modeler, and to Him belong all virtuous names. All that is in the heavens and the earth glorify Him. He is all-majestic and all-wise. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajah. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
King of martyrs, O Imam of man and jinn, Mola Hussain, Sayyidul Shuhada, Imamul Insi wal Jinnah Hussain. King of martyrs, O Imam of man and jinn, Mola Hussain, Sayyidul Shuhada, Imamul Insi wal Jinnah Hussain. Father of infant Abdullah and Ali Akbar Hussain.
Father of infant Abdullah and Ali Akbar Hussain.
O inheritor of Adam, father of freedom Hussain.
O inheritor of Adam, father of freedom Hussain.
King of martyrs, O Imam of man and jinn, Mola Hussain, Sayyidul Shuhada, Imamul Insi wal Jinnah Hussain. You established prayer, you gave your everything in charity.
You established prayer, you gave your everything in charity.
You enjoined the right, forbidding justice and iniquity.
You enjoined the right, forbidding justice and iniquity.
King of martyrs, O Imam of man and jinn, Mola Hussain, Sayyidul Shuhada, Imamul Insi wal Jinnah Hussain. Al-Husainu minni qala wa ana min al-Husain. Anta sayyidu ahlil jannah was-safina ya Hussain. Mustafa said, you are from me, I am from you, O Hussain. Prince of paradise, you are a sanctuary, O Hussain. King of martyrs, O Imam of man and jinn, Mola Hussain.
Everyone.
Sayyidul Shuhada, Imamul Insi wal Jinnah Hussain. Marhaba ya Tharallah, Khiratallah Mustafa. Anta nafsul mutmainna, Anta misbahul huda. Your avenger is Allah, your selector is Allah. Your contented soul, a lamp of guidance in every era. King of martyrs, O Imam of man and jinn, Mola Hussain, Sayyidul Shuhada, Imamul Insi wal Jinnah Hussain. Salutations to the son of Mustafa and Murtada.
Salutations to the son of Mustafa and Murtada.
Marhaba, son of Khadija and the heart of Fatima.
Marhaba, son of Khadija, and the heart of Fatima.
King of martyrs, O Imam of man and jinn, Mawla Hussain. Everyone. King of martyrs, O Imam of man and jinn, Mawla Hussain. Sayyidul Shuhada, Imamul Insi wal Jinnah Hussain. King of martyrs, O Imam of man and jinn, Mawla Hussain. Sayyidul Shuhada, Imamul Insi wal Jinnah Hussain.
Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Brothers and sisters, as you know, we start the Majalis at 5:45 p.m. sharp, and we aim to conclude these at 7:30, just before 7:30, in time for Maghrib prayers. We appreciate your continued cooperation on timing. We also appreciate the cooperation of parents with young children. There is an arrangement on this level, second floor, for parents with young children to sit. There is audio-visual majlis, live broadcast there, so you can go and take your child if you feel that there is a risk of the child disturbing the broader gathering. We appreciate your cooperation on the logistics of seating. Again, I would request all people in this row to move to the right towards the wall so that incoming people can sit quickly. Similarly, those in the middle, if you can move to the middle so that people can sit on the sides when they come in. There are only a few seats available, but still. And then the same on the left side, if you could all move towards the wall so that incoming people can easily get seated. Also, can I request all kids 15 and younger to please come and sit either on the sides or in the front area so that when the elderly attendees come, they can easily find a seat. Sab bachche 15 saal aur usse jo chote hain, if they can come and sit in the front here on the step, there's a seating area here as well, so that it is easy for the elderly attendees to seat. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. As you know, we have a Q&A session after the Majlis. So after Moulana recites his Majlis, there will be Matam, and then after Matam, there will be a Q&A session, and then the Ziyarat, a 10-minute Q&A session. You can ask questions from the floor, or you can use slido.com, #, Muharram 2025, to relay your questions. If you want a more detailed session with Moulana Aqib Jaffry, you can approach him directly after the Majlis, or approach Brother Junaid Muslim, who can slot, put a slot in his calendar. Please do put your cell phones on silent or mode, or turn them off. We have books in English, a large assortment available outside on this level, and these books were procured from the US, and they were already at a discounted price, but they are at 50% flat discount today and tomorrow. So if you want to avail yourselves of that offer, please do take advantage, because these books are intended for your consumption and not for any profit motivation. I want to acknowledge the senior management of Anjuman-e-Mohammadi. Mr. Asad Ali Khan, Dr. Zahur Hassan, and Sayyid Kausar Ali Shah, who are present among us today. A huge thanks to them for the cooperation and support that they and Anjuman-e-Mohammadi has extended to enable the hosting of this Ashra. This is the 5th Ashra that we have organized here, and it would not have been possible to do so without the cooperation of the senior management of Anjuman-e-Mohammadi and the many teams that have been working closely with us. A loud salawat for their sehat and salamti and for the teams that are working with us. Allah. The sponsor for today's majlis is my sister Sadaf Abbas. Please recite a Suratul Fatiha for our marhumeen. Special request to remember our father Sayyid Tajammul Abbas Shaheed, Sayyid Qamar Ali Shah, and Professor Sayyid Sajjad Rizvi. Please also remember your marhumeen and all those who have died in a state of devotion to the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. Suratul Fatiha and 3 times Qul Huwallah. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Mu'mineen, I will now request Hujjatul Islam wal Muslimeen, Moulana Syed Ali Aqib Jaffry, to come and recite the 8th Majlis in this series of 9 majalis on the topic of Quran, the solution to mankind's problems, with the loudest of your salawats.
الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين وخاتم النبيين سيدنا ونبينا وشفيع ذنوبنا وطبيب قلوبنا وبالقاسم محمد صلى على محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين الغر الميامين المعصومين من يومنا هذا إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد، فقد قال الله تبارك وتعالى في كتابه المجيد وخطابه المتين وهو أصدق القائلين وقوله الحق. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن هذا القرآن يهدي للتي هي أقوم. صلوات. Quran holds within itself the solution to our problems. And those solutions cannot be achieved unless we implement those paradigms and frameworks that Quran has introduced to us. The sunnahs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the principles, the immutable principles that govern this universe, are mentioned in the Holy Quran. Allah does not change the state of a nation hatta yughayyiru ma bi anfusihim, unless they change themselves. If we do not implement this in our communities and in our lives, at an individual and community level, we cannot benefit from the teachings of Quran. Other principles that it has mentioned, all of those principles were the guiding principles during the movement of Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wassalam. His movement during the entire movement of Karbala was inspired by those Quranic principles. They're not one of them, there are many. In one of the Muharram sessions here, we did talk about the Quranic principles that were driving the movement of the Imam. It is through the implementation of these principles, and the most important principle that is going to result in the solution to all of our problems is the message with which all the prophets of Allah were sent. وَلَقَدْ بَعَثْنَا فِي كُلِّ أُمَّةٍ رَسُولًا أَنِ اعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ وَاجْتَنِبُوا الطَّاغُوتَ. Worship Allah and stay away from the Taghut. Stay away from the tyrant rulers who themselves are deceived and deviated and deviate others through the systems that they create, the systems of injustice and the systems of interest and the other systems which result in the unjust distribution of resources, and it results in the non-deserving people sitting in the places where they should not be sitting. It is said that when the Imam will reappear, till that time only 2 out of 26 letters of knowledge would have been discovered. And when the Imam will reappear, there will be so much progress. There will be so much progress that humanity will become free from the need of sunlight. Sunlight is not there only to provide us light. Sunlight also kills a lot of the microbes that are out there. It serves multiple purposes. It is said that when the Imam will reappear, there will be so much progress that humanity will become free from the need of sunlight. And one of the reasons why that will happen is because when the Imam will come, everyone who post-Zuhur will realize and will be convinced, and they will testify that the state that we are living in now was hell. The Imam, for example, it states that when the Imam will reappear, he will close all of those water outlets that fall from the roofs into the streets. When there is rain, there is water pouring into the streets. All of those will be closed. Imam would say people do not have the right to make their water outlets fall into the pathway of the people. It is said that an announcement would be made that there is wealth available for whoever is needy. No one will come forward to receive that wealth. Only one person will stand up. He will claim that, and while he is going back to his home, he will feel ashamed. And he will say to himself, I really did not need it. And then he will go back and return it. This is what life, a glimpse of what life would be in the time of Zuhur. That will only happen when the Imam, when a leader that is divinely appointed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala becomes in charge of the affairs of the world. The biggest problem of humanity is Taghut. Are those unjust rulers who usurp the governance of a Muslim state while there is an Adil Imam from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who is responsible to take charge of the affairs. That is why one of the key principles, or the most important principle that all prophets worked towards, was ijtanibut taghut, to stay away from those tyrannical rulers. The most important reason why Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam rejected the bay'ah of Yazid was this very principle, ijtanibut taghut. Imam was the divinely appointed Imam from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Had he did the bay'ah, had he accepted, had he paid allegiance to Yazid, it would have meant the destruction of the entire institution of Tawheed. How? In any time, if there was a prophet who claimed to be a prophet of Allah, and in those times there were other prophets, fake prophets, who claimed prophethood as well, their claim to prophethood would not affect the true prophet's prophethood. You can have a true prophet, and other than him there would be other prophets claiming to be prophets. It can happen and has happened. But if the prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was to go and accept the prophethood of the fake prophets, what would that mean? His prophethood is gone then. And not only that, who appointed him to be the prophet of Allah? Allah appointed him. Allah, who is all knowledgeable and all wise. If Allah, who is all knowledgeable and all wise, appoints someone as his prophet, who is going to give up his mission in the middle of the way, it means Allah does not know whom to appoint as his prophet. And this would mean that Allah's knowledge is not perfect. And once you have Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala whose knowledge is not perfect, then he doesn't qualify to be God. Then there is no Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, a prophet of Allah accepting the prophethood of any other prophet means the end of his prophethood as well as the end of the divine institution of Tawheed. And since the Imam is appointed by the Prophet of Allah, through the divine instruction of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if an Imam accepts the bay'ah of anyone other than who is divinely appointed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you can have Imam Hussain under the bay'ah of Imam Hussain, under the bay'ah of Imam Hassan alayhi salatu wassalam, that can happen. But if an Imam was to pay allegiance to any other person, then it is not only the Imam that loses his imamah. The Prophet also loses his prophethood. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's ilm and knowledge comes under question, and the entire divine institution of divine revelation and divine message collapses. So by rejecting and refusing to pay allegiance to Yazid, Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam protected the divine institution of Tawheed. It is not that he protected imamat only or nabuwat, the entire institution. The efforts of 1,24,000 prophets were saved by what Imam Hussain did in Karbala. And the entire humanity is indebted to him for what he has done. For he has saved the message that the Holy Prophet had brought for all times to come till the Day of Judgment. Humanity might not realize today, but in the coming times to come, when the problems would be so numerous that humanity would not be able to control and find solutions to them, they will have to turn back to Quran. And at that point, they will realize the importance of what this Imam had done. All of the Imams had to face tyrants in their life, and tyrants get power from people who support these tyrants. That is why in Islamic tradition, working and supporting these tyrants in any way or form is not allowed until or unless out of necessity. Like the necessity towards blood and dead meat, and when you are in dire circumstances, you're allowed to eat what is haram. Out of those needs, it is permissible and allowed to work with these tyrants. We have a beautiful story in the time of Imam Kazim alayhi salatu wassalam. He had a close companion by the name of Safwan, and he had the business of renting out camels. And you know, camels in those days, in deserts, camel is an animal that can go over long distances without the need for water. In other words, you could see it is the Land Cruiser of today. So he had lots of camels and he would rent them out. And one day he came to see the Imam, and the Imam said to him, Kullu shay'in minka hasan. Everything from you, every action that comes from you is good. It's hasan, it's jameel, it's beautiful. Imagine if the Imam was to say that for us. कि तुम्हारा हर फेल, तुम्हारा हर काम खूबसूरत है. Ma khala shay, referring to Harun Rashid. And mind you, Harun Rashid is one of the rulers who's with a very vast kingdom. I think you will not find any other ruler whose the boundaries of his kingdom expanded all across the globe. Other rulers wish that they had a kingdom as large as his. You rented your camels to this person. This is not good from you. And he said, قال والله by Allah أكريته ما أكريته أسرا ولا بطرا ولا لسيد ولا للحو. I did not rent it to him for hunting or so that he could go and play games or for any other reason or to do zulm on others. No, أكريته لهذا ولكني أكريه لهذا الطريق, pointing to the road to Karbala, to Mecca. I rented it to him so that he could go to Hajj. So he rented his camel to this person, to the tyrant of his time, so that he could go and perform Hajj using his camels. وَلَا أَتَوَاللَّهُ بِنَفْسِي. I'm not going to go along with him myself. وَلَكِنْ أَنْسَبُوا مَعَهُ غِلْمَانِ. My workers and my servants are going to go with them. So I'm not going to help him personally in this journey. The Imam turned to him and said, أَيَّكَ وَكَرَاءُكَ عَلَيْهِمْ. Is he going to pay you the rent? He said, yes. جُعِلْتُ فِدَاكَ. May I be sacrificed over you? Yes, that will happen. The Imam said, أَتُحِبُّ بَقَائِهِمْ حَتَّى يَخْرُجُ كَرَاءُكَ. Do you have this desire? Do you have this wish? Do you wish that he stays alive till he pays off your rent? क्या ये आरज़ू रखते हो कि जब तक तुम्हारा किराया ना मिल जाए वो जिंदा रहे? He said, yes. And the Imam gave this principle, فَمَنْ أَحَبَّ بَقَاءَهُمْ. Whoever loves their baqa, فَهُوَ مِنْهُمْ. He is one of them. जो उनकी जिंदगी चाहे वो उन्हीं में से है. وَمَنْ كَانَ مِنْهُمْ كَانَ وَرَدَ النَّارِ. And whoever is from them will enter the hellfire. This was a serious statement. And those of us who wish to live in the time of the Imam, imagine if the Imam of our time were to say something like this to us. What would our response be? Would we have the courage to cancel this deal with the king, with the tyrant of our time? So listening to this, he goes and sells off all of his camels. He finishes his business. He winds up his business. And when Harun Rashid heard about this, obviously he was angry. He called him. And he said, why did you do this? And he said, Ana Shaykhun Kabir, I've become an old man, and my workers they do not do a good job. There was no point in keeping them, so I sold them. He said, this is not the reason. Inni la'alamu man ashara alayk bihada. I know who advised you, who gave you this suggestion. Musa ibn Ja'far did this to you. He said, Mali wale Musa ibn Ja'far, what does he have to do with all of this? Harun said, leave this. I know this is what happened. If it was not for the friendship that we had, laqataltuka, I would have killed you. The risk that he had taken was immense. He knew he could lose his life for what we had done. Even hoping and praying that they'll live a day extra, the Imam says that you will be considered one of them. وَلَقَدْ بَعَثْنَا فِي كُلِّ أُمَّةٍ رَسُولًا. We sent a Rasul in every prophet, أَنْ اعْبُدُوا اللَّهِ. You worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and stay away from the taghut. And that you stay away from the tyrannical rulers. We all desire for the Imam to come and reappear and for us to be part of his movement. But that will only happen. We all also desire to see the Imam. In the time of Ghaiba, a person came to an alim and he said, I wish to see the Imam. I wish to have the ziyarat of the Imam. Give me a zikr, give me a wazifa to do. And he said, it is so easy to see the Imam. He said, how come I've been trying for years and I haven't been successful? He said, I'm going to ask you to do some things today and tomorrow I'll give you the answer. And he said, fine. And then he asked him to go and eat fish and not have water with it. So he went and had as much fish as he could and did not have water with it. In the night when he slept, he dreamt of water. The next day he came to the Imam and to the scholar, and the scholar said, well, did you do what I asked you to do? And he said, yes. And then he said, well, I dreamt of the water. He said, that is the key to meet your Imam. Tumhara wujud pani ka pyasa tha. It found water in your dreams. इसी तरह अगर तुम्हारा वजूद इमाम के वजूद का प्यासा हो जाए तो ज़ियारत इमाम हो जाए. If we desire the Imam, if every day in our life we feel the need of the Imam, we see the injustices around us, and we hope and desire to get rid of them, and we feel helpless in doing all of that, and at that time we feel that if the Imam was here, he would have helped us and he would have led this movement and free the world of the injustice that there is in this world. That desire that if we have within ourselves, that will lead us to meet our Imam. At an individual level, and if the communities and the Muslim Ummah as a whole becomes such that they desire this justice to be established globally and they're ready for it, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not bakhil. Allah is not going to withhold the treasure that He is withholding. He is withholding it because partly we are not ready for it. The moment we are ready, when the student is ready, the teacher shows up. So one of the reasons why we are suffering is the absence of our Imam. And unless we change ourselves and we are ready to implement justice in our lives and in our communities, the Imam is not going to reappear. One of the other golden principles that mentioned in the Quran for us, for the solution of our problems, is this verse of the Holy Quran which says, وَمَنْ يَتَّقِ اللَّهِ يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا. Whoever exercises taqwa, Allah will create an opening for him. وَيَجْعَلْهُ and Allah will provide him rizq from where he would not have even imagined. وَمَنْ يَتَّقِ اللَّهُ, whoever exercises taqwa, وَمَنْ يَتَّقِ اللَّهُ يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا, Allah will provide a makhraj, an exit for him. وَيَرْزُقْهُ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا يَحْتَسِبْ, and Allah will give him rizq from where he did not even imagine. Who does not want an opening? In other words, whoever exercises taqwa, there will never be a dead end in his life. Period. Never ever a dead end in his life, and he will always get sustenance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Not only that, whoever exercises taqwa, Allah will make his affairs easier. Again, the verse of the Holy Quran, that Allah will make his affairs easier. And not only that, another verse of the Holy Quran, ittaqullah wa yu'allimukumullah. Exercise taqwa, and what will happen? Allah will teach you ilm. So ilm, sustenance, material and spiritual, all comes, the key to it is taqwa. What is taqwa? This word might be unfamiliar to some of you, maybe the youth. It comes from the root word waqa, which means to protect. This verse of the Holy Quran says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, or Ya ayyuhan nas, qu anfusakum wa ahlikum, protect yourselves and your family members, an-nar, from the hellfire. Which fire? Waquduha an-nasu wal hijara, the fire whose fuel is stones and people. Protect yourselves. And it's surprising, it says protect yourselves and your family members. The order is also important. Protect yourselves. When you're traveling by plane, you meant that if the oxygen pressure drops, use the mask first on yourselves and then help others. Islam is saying protect yourself. If you have not protected yourself, you cannot protect your family members. Qu anfusakum wa ahlikum. And it is generally translated, ittaqullah, we just generally translate it as fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But that meaning is not a true translation. Fear Allah. Why should we fear Allah? Allah is not something to be feared. Allah is one of the most beautiful beings, a perfect being that we all strive and love. So he's not someone or something to be feared. It is not him that we fear. It is his justice that we fear. It is the justice, and then you find this dua, this message in Dua Joshan Kabir. And these duas that are taught by the Imam, they have a treasure and an ocean of knowledge. And that is why we have stuck and we stayed with the house of Ahlul Bayt, because we believe that they are the divinely appointed interpreters of the Holy Quran. No one else has the authority to interpret the Holy Quran. Yes, others can make guesses and they might know part of the Quran, a part here and a part of the verse there and part of the Holy Quran here. But the only individual who claims and who knows the entire Quran are those who have been appointed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and those are the Ahlul Bayt of the Holy Prophet. And that is why we take our religion from the Ahlul Bayt. The companions are respectable. They have their own respect. But when it comes to securing our hereafter and taking the religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we do not go to any other door except the door of Ahlul Bayt. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has testified to the level of their intentions as well. When you perform an action, on the apparent it might be a very good action, but no one knows the real intention behind those actions. No one knows. Only that person. Sometimes that person might not even know the real reason why he intended that action. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows the intentions behind each and every action that each and every individual performs. And if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala testifies and tells us the intention behind the actions of certain individuals, then their purity and their sincerity is guaranteed. When you perform an action of worship, one of the key components is niyyah. Without niyyah, that action does not qualify as an act of worship. You might swim in a swimming pool all day, but that would not count as your ghusl of the day of Jummah, for example, unless you have the intention of doing ghusl. So intention makes an act, turns an action into an act of worship. And we have been taught that what is niyat? Niyat is saying that I'm doing this action for the sake of qurbatan ilallah. Or even if you don't say it, if you have that thought, that idea in your mind, that suffices as intention. But that is only one component of niyyah. That is only one component of niyyah. That is not the niyyah that will make this act an act of worship. There's something else that needs to be tested. What is it that you are doing? You're listening to the majlis. I am delivering a majlis. This is one component. What is it that you are doing? Why are you doing it? Are you doing it because of the prize money that was announced? Then it would be 2 rakat namaz qurbatan ila 10 lakh rupees. Not towards ilallah. Sometimes we don't even know. Sometimes we start a masjid, a majlis for the sake of Imam Hussain, and after 40 years, we don't even realize that our need shifts, and we keep on doing it every year. Now this time we're doing it because this has become an Abai majlis. Because my parents used to do it. That's why I have to do it. That is why even if we don't find anyone who is qualified to recite, we'll find anyone and make him sit on the member. Because this majlis has to happen. We have been doing it for so long. So niyat is important. Sometimes we don't even know the true niyat behind the actions ourselves. But when Allah comes and testifies to the niyat of certain people, on the night of Hijrah, when Amirul Mu'mineen slept on the bed of the Holy Prophet, Salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. He slept on the bed of the Holy Prophet. The verse came, وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يَشْرِي نَفْسَهُ ابْتِغَاءَ مَرْضَاتِ اللَّهِ. There's someone amongst men who sold his soul in exchange for the riza of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When Allah is testifying to the niyat of this individual, then he deserves to be the one to lead the ummah after the Holy Prophet, whose intentions have been guaranteed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In another verse, not only here, in another verse, when Imam Hassan and Imam Hussain alayhi salatu was salam, Sallu ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad, were sick and they were not getting better, and the Holy Prophet advised Amirul Mu'mineen to do another, that they will fast for 3 days if Allah gives shifa to them, and they did the nazar. And sometimes the solution to our problems lies in spiritual activities or spiritual causes. So medicine is one thing, but they did nazar, and after a time they got cured, and the Imam worked all day and gathered the wheat, and Lady of Paradise turned it into wheat, and they had bread in the evening, and they were about to iftar, that a needy person comes. Is there anyone who is going to feed the poor? Imam Ali gave his food. Lady of Paradise gave her food. The leaders of the youth of Paradise, they gave theirs, to the point that Fizza gave her share everybody gave her share to the youth voluntarily. And they fasted the next day. And then the next night, the same thing happened. They again gave their food to the needy. The same thing happened the third day. 3 days of fasting without food and water. They were weak. The Holy Prophet came to see his daughter, and when he saw the state of this family, the weakness that they were facing due to their hunger and their thirst, he prayed to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he raised his hands in prayers. Jibreel descended and informed them of what has happened, and gave the Holy Prophet the glad tidings of blessing the Holy Prophet with such a family who has given everything they had in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and came with these verses, وَيُطْعِمُونَ الطَّعَامَ عَلَى حُبِّهِ مِسْكِينًا وَيَتِيمًا وَأَسِيرًا. Ma salli ala Muhammad. Again testifying to their intentions. وَيُطْعِمُونَ الطَّعَامَ, and they feed their food. يُطْعِمُونَ الطَّعَامَ عَلَى حُبِّهِ, in the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَيُطْعِمُونَ الطَّعَامَ عَلَى حُبِّهِ, किसको देते हैं? मिस्कीनम व यतीमम व असीरा, to the miskin and to the yatim and to the asir. And then the next word, repeating their statement, إِنَّمَا نُطْعِمُكُمْ لِوَجْهِ اللَّهِ لَا نُرِيدُ مِنْكُمْ جَزَاءً وَلَا شَكُورًا. Repeating the statement of the Imam, we are doing this for the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Quran narrates this statement, إِنَّمَا نُطْعِمُكُمْ, we are feeding them لِوَجْهِ اللَّهِ, for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. لَا نُرِيدُ مِنْكُمْ جَزَاءً وَلَا شَكُورًا, we do not need any reward or any thanks from these people. Again, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala testifying to the sincerity of intention of these individuals. These individuals, you don't find such a testimony given for any other individual in this clear, precise manner. These are the ones who deserve to be taken as our leaders and our imams. These are the individuals who deserve to interpret the religion for us. These are the individuals who we should take as our imams, and they are none other than the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salatu wassalam. Salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. So these are just two examples that I gave. The Quran is full of such examples. And through this, the Quran is identifying those people who deserve to be followed, who were rightly guided, and who deserve to be followed after the Holy Prophet. The Holy Prophet, in his lifetime, he introduced this family not once, many times. It is said that after the verse of Tathir was revealed, the Holy Prophet would come. He was in Medina, and he stayed in Medina. He stayed alive for 6 months or 9 months, and every day he would come to the door of Lady Fatima salamullah alayha at the time of Fajr Sadiq. Let's recite a salawat. He would come to the door of this lady, this great lady, his daughter, at the time of Subh Sadiq, put both of his hands on the pillars of the door, and he would recite this verse, إِنَّمَا يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ لِيُذْهِبَ عَنْكُمُ الرِّجْسَ أَهْلَ الْبَيْتِ وَيُطَهِّرَكُمْ تَطْهِيرًا. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. And then he would give the salams of Allah to this household every day, teaching the ummah how they need to look after this household once he passes away. He did this every day, the time of Sadiq. And the message he is giving is that of the Asdaqus Sadiqeen. And the Rasul Sadiq is giving that message. And the people in the house are the Sadiqeen themselves. All of these Sadiqs and Sadiqeens gathered. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when we say the Quran, Inna hadha al-Quran yahdi lillati hiya aqwam, Quran points towards that which is most upright. One of the manifestations or one of the batin, one of the things that the Quran is pointing you or trying to teach us is that the Quran points us towards the imams and the guides that are most upright. If we look into the Quran, and if we open our eyes, we will find clearly who the Quran is pointing to as our guides. Ya ayyatuhan nafsul mutma'inna irji'i ila rabbiki. O soul that is at the state of mutma'inna. Who is this soul? Despite all the problems that he had faced, yet he is content. He is razi with the riza of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is said that on the day of Ashur, as things got tougher, the smile and brightness of Imam's face became more and more. There was not a sign of worry on his face. The mission was going as planned. He had to sacrifice everything, and every sacrifice meant getting closer to the goal and the mission that he wanted to accomplish. Yes, it was painful, but that was what he had intended to do. He had realized that religion has become weak and it is in need of help. He realized that religion is weak and it needs, for its survival, blood. And not any ordinary blood, pure blood. The same blood group that Islam has, it needs a transfusion of the same blood group. And that blood group was none but the blood of Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam. So he set up this apparatus in Karbala. This whole institution of Karbala was set up by the Imam so that he could infuse his blood in the veins of Islam. And he successfully did that. In the lands of Karbala, the blood of Imam Hussain did not spill on the lands of Karbala. It was injected in the veins of the religion. And that is why till the day of judgment, we smell Hussain from religion. Deen se ab Hussain ki khushboo aati hai. Because it is his blood that is running in the veins of religion. On the day of Ashura, it is said that when Imam lost all of his companions, he went to see, he took a trip to the camps of his brothers. They were empty. Then he came to the camp of the family of Aqil. They were empty as well. He looked at the camps of his companions. All of them were empty. Maybe he went there to see some of the family members, some of the women were still in the camp. But it seems that when a shaheed got shaheed, the ladies and the children of that family must have moved to the camp of Lady Zainab, thinking that now this is the most safest place. All of them were empty. Then he turned towards the camps of the Ahle Haram, and in that he headed towards the camp of Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salatu wassalam. And when he entered, and when Imam Zainul Abidin saw the Imam is coming to meet him, he was lying down with Lady Zainab next to him. He wanted to stand up to greet the Imam, but because of his illness, he could not. So he at least requested his aunt to help him sit down. So he sat down, the Imam came, they greeted. And Imam Sajjad asked him, Ma sana'ata al-yawm ma'a ha'ula'il munafiqeen? What transpired between you and the munafiqeen today? And the Imam responded, today there was a fierce battle that was fought between us and them, and the plains of Karbala is filled with our and their blood. When he heard this, and he noticed that the Imam is standing all alone by himself, there is no Ali Akbar next to him, there is no Abbas next to him. He interrupted the conversation and asked, Aina Ammi al-Abbas? Where is my uncle Abbas? Lady Zainab began to cry. She looked at Imam Hussain alayhi salam. How is he going to give the news of the shahadat of Hazrat Abbas to Imam Sajjad alayhi salam? Crying, Imam said, Inna ammaka qad qutil. your uncle has been killed, وَقَطَعُوا يَدَيْهِ عَلَى شَاطِئِ الْفُرَاتِ, and they chopped off his hands, and his hands are lying in the banks of river Euphrates. When he heard this, the Imam Sajjad alayhi salam, it is said that he fainted. When he regained consciousness, he asked, Aina akhi Ali, where is my brother Ali? Wa Habib ibn Mazahir, wa Muslim ibn Awsaja, where are all of these companions? And the Imam responded that there is no one left other than me and you. Khayme mein bas mere aur tumhare siwa ab koi nahi bacha. Yes, a time had come when Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam had to witness that moment where Hazrat Abbas was standing in front of Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam with a flag in his hand, seeking permission to go to the battlefield. And he sought permission with this statement, saying कि मेरा सीना अब जिंदगी से तंग हो गया है, मौला मुझे इजाजत दीजिए कि दुश्मनों से बदला ले सकूं. Give me permission to seek revenge from the enemy. The Imam said, well, if the Imam first resisted, saying, but you are the flag bearer of my army, tum to mere fauj ke alamdar ho, agar tum chale gaye to meri fauj bikhar jayegi. The Imam Hazrat Sajjad responded by saying, but where is that army? There is no army left. वो फौज मौला कहाँ रही वो फौज? The Imam said, well, if you want to go to the battlefield, then at least try to make some arrangement for water for the children. The Imam gave him permission to go to the battlefield. He went to the battlefield. He first advised, just like every other companion, he advised the enemy. He told them what they were doing. And when there was no response, he came back to the Imam and told the Imam what happened, what dialogue happened, and what he said and what they said. And as this conversation was happening, he heard the voice of Al-Atash. Al-Atash, hai pyas, children crying for water. So he immediately held the water bag, and now he went towards river Euphrates. The Euphrates was guarded by 4,000 soldiers. They tried to stop him, but they could not stop Abbas. He was the son of Ali. He was the lion of Ali. He killed everyone who came in his way to stop him. Cutting through the enemy ranks, he entered the river Euphrates. Now this river is in the control of Abbas. He looked at the enemy was watching at a distance. They did not have the courage to come forward and stop Abbas alayhi salatu wasalam. He took some water in his hands, looked at the water, and then threw it back into the river Euphrates. Why did he do this? Some people say, فَذَكَرَ أَطَشَ الْحُسَيْنِ, he remembered the pyas of Hussain alayhi salam. But I would say, and some other scholars also say, that no, वो प्यास हुसैन की प्यास को भूले ही कब थे? वो भूले ही कब थे कि पानी देखकर हुसैन की प्यास याद आ जाती? No, it is not that he had forgotten the प्यास, and by looking at water he was reminded of the thirst of Imam Hussain. He wanted to inform the enemy that this is the water that you had stopped us from. Now Abbas controls this water, but it is my religion that stops me from drinking a sip of this water. And he expressed this idea by saying, Ya nafso min ba'dil Hussain huni wa ba'dahu la kunti an takuni. Oh my soul, it is not worthy to live after Imam Hussain passes away. So it should not happen that the Imam Hussain is no longer there while you are still alive. And then he says, Haza Husainun waridul manuni. This is Hussain who is about to drink from the fountain of death. Wa tashribina baridal ma'ini. And you cannot therefore drink from this cold water because your Imam is going to drink from the fountain of death. Hayhat ma hadha fi'alu dini. No, this is not what my religion teaches me. Wala fi'alu sadiq al-yaqini. This is not what a devout person who has conviction does. He announced to everybody why he did not drink water, and now he heads back towards the camp. He wants this water bag to get to Sakina. He wants this water bag to get to Ali Akbar, to Ali Asghar, and the women and the children. As he rushes back, he takes a different path. He does not take the same path. And the enemy realized that they could not stop Hazrat Abbas in any way. Therefore, they resorted to deception. They hid themselves behind the palm trees. And as Hazrat Abbas was moving and rushing and galloping towards the camp, one of the enemy soldiers stepped forward and he cut off the right hand of Imam of Hazrat Abbas alayhi salatu wasalam, and Hazrat Abbas announced his right arm being chopped off, saying, Wallahi in qata'atum yamini, by Allah, if you chop off my right hand, inni uhami abadan andini, I will still till the last moment defend my religion and my Imam. A few moments later, his left arm was chopped off, and he again announced, Ya nafsu la takhshal kuffar, जिस शहसवार के दोनों बाजू कट जाएं वो किस तरह से जंग करे. कहा, ओ माई सोल, डू नॉट फियर द कुफार व अबशरी बिरहमतिल जब्बार, तुझे मुबारक हो रहमत जब्बार मान नबील सैयदुल मुख्तार, तुम्हारा साथ सैयद मुख्तार नबी के साथ है. कद क़तऊ बिबग़यहिम यसारी, he announced that they have chopped off my left arm through deception and trickery. فأصلهم يا رب حر النار, O Allah, make them taste the fire of hell. No, with no hands, he could not fight, but still he had a mission to accomplish. He had the water bag with him, and only if he could take this water bag to the camps, his mission is fulfilled. So he shielded the water bag with his body, and he rushed towards the camps. The enemy showered him with arrows. The arrows pierced his body, and one of the arrows came and pierced the water bag, and all of the water began to spill. Once the water bag was empty, Abbas al-Islam stopped midway. What should he do? Should he go back to the camps? There is no water. How can he go back to the camp? Should he go back to river Euphrates? He has no hands. What is he going to do over there? Not knowing what to do, standing in the middle of the soldiers of the army of Yazid, they gathered around him. Abbas is helpless. परवरदिगारा, किसी को इस तरह से ना उम्मीद ना करना जिस तरह से हजरत अब्बास ना उम्मीद हुए. One of the enemy soldiers came forward with an iron rod in his hand, and he hit the head of Hazrat Abbas with that rod. Hazrat Abbas comes to the ground crying, Ya akhi adrikni, oh my brother, come to my rescue. Imam Hussain rushed to rescue his brother. When he came next to him, he saw there is an arrow in one of the eyes of Hazrat Abbas. There is blood in his other eye. He wiped off the blood from the other eye. In the final moments, Hazrat Abbas looked at the Imam's face. He looked at the face of his Imam, and he left this world in peace. Hazrat Abbas इस दुनिया से जब रुखसत हुए, आखिरी ज़ियारत अपने इमाम के चेहरे की कर ली. क्यों, या अब्बास, अभी थोड़ी देर बाद इमाम भी इसी आलम में होंगे. आखिरी वक्त होगा इमाम का, लेकिन जब इमाम आंखें खोलेंगे तो इनकी निगाह अपने किसी सहाबी पर नहीं पड़ेगी. जब इमाम ने आंखें खोली, कहा जाता इमाम ने एहसास किया कि उनके सीने पर कोई वजनी चीज आ गई है. जब आंखें खोली तो देखा शिमर सीने पे बैठा है. अला लानतुल्लाहि अलल कौमिज़ ज़ालिमीन.
Qamar Bani Hashim Abbas, shelter of Zainab Abbas. Ya Abbas, oh Ya Abbas, o Ya Abbas. Qamar Bani Hashim Abbas, shelter of Zainab Abbas. Ya Abbas, O Ya Abbas, Ya Abbas, O Ya Abbas. Qamar Bani Hashim Abbas, shelter of Zainab Abbas. Ya Abbas, O Ya Abbas, Ya Abbas, O Ya Abbas. Pride of Amir-ul-Mu'mineen, Lion of Al-Baneen. Pride of Amir-ul-Mu'mineen, Lion of Al-Baneen. Lion of Al-Baneen. Who can be brave as you, Mawla? Who can be brave as you, Mawla? Who can your loyalty surpass? Ya Abbas, O Ya Abbas, Ya Abbas, O Ya Abbas. Qamar Bani Hashim Abbas, shelter of Zainab Abbas. Ya Abbas, O Ya Abbas, Ya Abbas, O Ya Abbas. You are the Ghazi of Al-Qama, the ultimate Sultan of Wafa. You are the Ghazi of Al-Qama, the ultimate Sultan of Wafa. The ultimate Sultan of Wafa. You are the Qamar Bani Hashim. You are the Qamar Bani Hashim. Who can match your strength and class? Ya Abbas, O Ya Abbas, Ya Abbas, O Ya Abbas. Qamar Bani Hashim Abbas, shelter of Zainab Abbas. Ya Abbas, O Ya Abbas, Ya Abbas, O Ya Abbas. No scholar in history could fathom your mystery. No scholar in history could fathom your mystery. Could fathom your mystery. Firm as iron, soft as snow. Firm as iron, soft as snow. Shir-jari qalb-e hassas. Ya Abbas, O Ya Abbas, Ya Abbas, O Ya Abbas. Qamar Bani Hashim Abbas, shelter of Zainab Abbas. Ya Abbas, O Ya Abbas, Ya Abbas, O Ya Abbas. One Abbas-e Karbala versus all of Ashkiya. One Abbas-e Karbala versus all of Ashkiya. Versus all of Ashkiya. Kujahi of Imam-e-Zaman. Kujahi of Imam-e-Zaman. Kuja the shar of jinn wa nas. Ya Abbas, O Ya Abbas, Ya Abbas, O Ya Abbas. Qamar Bani Hashim Abbas, shelter of Zainab Abbas. Ya Abbas, O Ya Abbas, Ya Abbas, O Ya Abbas. Said Abbas unto Hussain, with you Mawla till the end. Said Abbas unto Hussain, with you Mawla till the end. With you Mawla till the end. In this Laylatul Ashura, in this Laylatul Ashura, Aka, your haqq is clear as glass. Ya Abbas, oh Ya Abbas, Ya Abbas, oh Ya Abbas, Qamar Bani Hashim Abbas, shelter of Zainab Abbas. Ya Abbas, oh Ya Abbas, Ya Abbas, oh Ya Abbas. Sham-e-Ghariba in Karbala, helpless orphans Ashkiya. Sham-e-Ghariba in Karbala, helpless orphans Ashkiya. Helpless orphans Ashkiya. Where are you, Ammu Ghazi? Where are you, Ammu Ghazi? Cry Sakina hai pyas. Ya Abbas, oh Ya Abbas, Ya Abbas, oh Ya Abbas, Qamar Bani Hashim Abbas, shelter.
Line.
We'll start with the question on that. Stretching the camel is king, not a form of Amr bil Maruf. If a sinful person is using your resources to perform good deeds, shouldn't you encourage it? Well, it's one thing for a sinful person to use your resources to do good deed, and it's a different thing for a tyrant ruler who is the source of all the troubles of an ummah to use your resources. And the reason the Imam gave in that hadith was the hoping, having that desire that this person stays alive. So praying and hoping for the life of any tyrant ruler is what is a problem. If there are any questions from the...
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
My question is that most scholars talk about preparation for the Zuhur of Imam Zamana. What is exactly the preparation? For example, as for like when you're preparing for a test, you have study materials to study from. So what preparation is there for the Zuhur of Imam Zamana?
Very good question. We can go over and over this topic, but in a single compact way, if I was to answer this, we need to see what the Imam is going to do when he arrives. Right? So when you are expecting guests, so you start preparing for the guest before he arrives. You set up everything before he comes. So when the Imam is going to come, he is going to establish justice in this world. So in his absence, we need to pave the way for global justice to be established. Now it comes starting from our own individual souls, establish justice and implement the divine law of Allah on this body that we have, and then our families, and then our communities, and then the country, and then the world. So that is how it is going to go, and it will all start from knowing the religion of Allah, and then practicing the religion of Allah, and ijtanabut taghut, and staying away from those rulers who are the cause of these injustices that are happening in the world. Okay. Wa alaikum assalam.
Nowadays, there are so many people that are working overseas, like they are providing different services, and they hope for them to get better. This way they get more business. But under what circumstances, where does it fall? As per your example related to that kind of
Yes. So again, the world is such a complicated place right now, and so integrated. Those who are so two things. There are people who used to work in the apparatus of the tyrants in the time of the Imam, with the permission of the Imam. The Imam had given special permission to certain people and appointed them into certain positions in the apparatus of the enemy in order to help and support the mu'mineen that are in trouble. And secondly, those who choose to work in places like those, they need to make sure that the benefit that they are bringing to Islam is more than any potential harm that there is with them dealing in those situations. That would be a general answer that I can give at this time. Wa alaikum assalam.
I wanted to ask how we can ensure that our intentions are sincere. As you said, sometimes we perform actions but we don't know ourselves what our intention is. So some tips or some advice as to how to remember that what we're doing this for.
Yes, so very good question. We need to keep asking ourselves this question: why is it that I am doing this action? So that is the key point, and try to be as honest as possible to yourself. Like, would I do this if this was not there? Would I do this if this factor was to go away? Would I do this if I did not get any recognition, for example? Would I still do it? Right? If I'm inviting, for example, if you're holding a majlis, would I still invite this scholar? Why am I inviting this scholar? Is it because he is famous and he attracts more, fame and people, or is it because he delivers the truth? And he speaks the truth, and he informs, and he educates us. So these things, digging deeper into yourself to see what the real reason is behind each and every action of yours, will help you improve and make your niyat khalis. And this is an ongoing action, and it is a difficult action. And gradually we all need to get there where our intentions are khalis. For if there is one sincere action that we perform, it is possible that act might be sufficient to take us to Jannah.
As seen with the army of Abraha, the elephant stopped from trampling and destroying the Kaaba. But why did the horses not stop from trampling the body, the Shahada?
Very good question. I wish I can address this in one full majlis, but in one answer, in one or 2 minutes that we have, the question is, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala stopped Abraha from destroying the Holy Kaaba, and it is said that a moment's reputation moment's ihtaram is more than that of the Kaaba, and Imam Hussain is the leader of the mu'mineen, is the Imam of the mu'mineen of that time. Then why did Allah not stop the horses? Did the sunnah of Allah change? The sunnah of Allah never changes. Right? So why is it that here, and then again we find that in the time of when Najaf was hidden and people did not know, the dogs stopped and they did not enter Najaf. So again Allah protected the shrine from dogs entering here. But in Karbala we find it otherwise. So have the sunnah of Allah changed? No, the sunnah of Allah is still the same. Allah does His amr, He does His affairs, He manages His affairs in mysterious ways. At the time of Abraha, it was important that the horses stop for the preservation of religion. The preservation of religion at that time dictate that the elephants did not enter and destroy Kaaba. At the time of Imam Hussain, it was the Mazlumiyat of Imam Hussain that was going to be responsible for the religion of Islam to stay forever. So at that, the mission, the reason behind these two statements is the same. At one point, the Holy Prophet, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created in the spider's web in the cave, protecting the Holy Prophet. Sometimes Islam is saved by saving the life of an Imam, and sometimes Islam is saved by sacrificing the life of the Imam. So the objective of Allah is to save Islam, not the Imam of the Prophet. Okay. Sallu ala Muhammad wa alayhi Muhammad.